Hello there, I'm back, and it's the week after the It's a Wonderful Life Festival. I wonder if everybody's still up and everything. 'Cause guess what? There was almost 5,000 runners for the It's a Wonderful Life Festival this year. And I mean, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. Let me just tell you something. It's pretty cool when you see the cavalry charge come off the Bridge Street Bridge. Especially after Carolyn Grimes says, every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings, and that's the signal for the runners to start. But I mean, you gotta wonder, you wanna get back across the bridge, you gotta wait. It took almost 10 minutes for all the runners to come off the bridge. Meanwhile, you're standing there like a female ant waiting for her mate to dig a hole like. And of course, she's griping at him. And you're like, I want to walk. Well, of course, 10 minutes later, you're able to get back across. But whatever. It was another successful It's a Wonderful Life special. But I do have to say this. After the 5K's over, you know a lot of the runners like to frequent some of the places here in Seneca Falls. And especially when you're trying to watch the end of Syracuse and Georgetown, they all crowd into Red's place, 'cause they offered free beer for the runners. And the thing is, trying to elbow your way out of there, especially when the game's over, is like trying to get a hole in the head. It just doesn't work. And I mean, like, hey, I need to breathe. Oh well, I made my way out, but I mean, hey, that's kind of dangerous, don't you think? But I digress. Another successful It's a Wonderful Life Festival. Congratulations to Fred Capozzi on getting the George Bailey Award. And of course, we'll see you next year. And speaking of Syracuse, I got two things to say. First thing is, a big win against Patrick Ewing in Georgetown. Especially with that winning basket by Tyus Battle. Goes in, throws it up with 3 seconds to play. A lazy arc, as somebody would call it. And it scores 72-71. But the thing is, now you gotta wonder, is this potentially the end of the rivalry? Because I guess the ACC next year is going to a 20-game conference schedule, which means there'll be less non-conference games. And of course, Syracuse has got to do a little bit of a juggling act. I know it wants to enter tournaments. I know it wants to play teams like Colgate, Cornell, ones they used to play all the time in the past. I know they want to keep it going. But there's people that like to see the rivalry. Georgetown, St. John's, UConn. You want to see them. But of course I see why the ACC wants to go to a bigger schedule. But you gotta wonder. I mean, it was almost 40 years ago John Thompson really sparked it by saying, Manley Fieldhouse is closed. Could this be the end? Let's hope not. But the other thing is, I saw this get on the way up for the Camping World Bowl coming up on the 28th for the Orange against West Virginia. Apparently, West Virginia's All-American quarterback Will Grier, who's expected to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, saying he won't play. What a bummer. You know, you tune into these bowl games expecting the teams to be their best. You want to see some of their best players. You want to see if you can beat them. Well, I guess Will Grier's done what some of the top draft picks have done the last few years. Skip the bowl game because they don't want to get hurt. And you know what? That really takes a lot of the air out of the sails. Because Grier's backup has only thrown 10 passes all year. You gotta wonder, how is it going to be? I mean, how attractive is it going to be now? West Virginia was a 7-point favorite. Now Syracuse may be the favorite because Grier isn't playing. Of course, SU fans want to see Eric Dungy finally in his first bowl game, But hopefully there's not going to be an announcement saying that he wants to skip the bowl game. Knock on wood, shall we? Hopefully that's not the case. But I mean, it's going to be a pretty good bowl game. But I mean, you want to see the best. It's a little disappointing if you ask me. And you also know what's disappointing? Buffalo, the way they've been the last two games. Seems as though Josh Allen is trying to show that he's the tall and newest version of Michael Vick, running most of the time and also not passing very much. Of course, the way the porous offensive line for the Bills is like, he's got to run for his life. And I mean, during the offseason, that is one of the things they got to upgrade, that offensive line. Hey, it isn't a sponge. It's an offensive line. It's supposed to block. And Allen, I mean, one of these days you're going to get killed running around out there. And I mean, sometimes you need to tone down that rocket. Because, yeah, you threw two ill-advised passes, including the one that ended the game. Another disappointing loss, this time to the lowly New York Jets. But how about the finish of that game between Miami and New England? The final play of the game, the double lateral, plus seeing Rob Gronkowski on the field as a potential tackler. The only thing he can tackle is a good case of hemorrhoids. But I mean, Dolphin fans saw Kenyon Drake go in, and they scored right when time ran out. 34-33, the Dolphins beat the Patriots. Now, Bill Belichick's probably going to take a little heat. But the thing is, he probably hasn't taken a lot of heat. But now you got to wonder, is he maybe starting to lose his edge? Of course, Bills fans are wondering when he will, and wondering when Tom Brady's going to be losing his edge. And last but not least, I do want to say something about it. Christmas lights and music. Apparently, somewhere in Texas, a family's got 100,000 Christmas lights, and they decided to be one of these people that set it to music. And guess what they set it to? The very viral Baby Shark thing. Of course, the one thing I have to say, it does begin before it cuts into that annoying rhythm, as it starts with a couple of notes of Jaws. And the thing is, Antonin Dvorak would be proud. But the thing is, I'd like to hear Jaws just set to music, set to Christmas lights, that is. You'd like to see voodoo, 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 voodoo. I don't like to think you'd like to hear Baby Shark, do-do-do-do-do-do. Of course, hearing that for all through the night, you'd be like a chicken if it saw an axe. Ah! Or if somebody set the Christmas lights to the Barbie girl. Remember that song from 20 years ago? The annoying lispy voice. Of course, somebody would like to hear, "Come on, Barbie, let's go party." Well, enough about Christmas lights and this. Another week in the books, shall we? We'll talk to you next week.